let's start by just going back a little bit. So tell us about your experiences at Kingsborough Community College, your major, and when you graduated.
Well, first, I can start by officially thanking you for equipping me with skills that in the time I didn't even know that I was going to use in my profession. And so I started out at Kingsborough as a media arts major. And in that time, I didn't know primarily what direction I wanted to go with my career. I knew I was a good writer and I wanted to be a journalist. And so I had the vision of being a journalist, and I didn't know exactly what it would take to get there. But Kingsborough, like I said, to start, I mean, you really, really jump started my career and really equipped me with tools that I still use today in my profession. And so, I mean, Kingsborough really, really helped me tremendously. But that was the start. And I mean, as we continue this conversation, I'll get more in detail about what I learned and how I learned. But to start, I knew what I wanted to do, and I think that's a good thing to do for young people who are looking to find their way in the world. For me, I wrote out a list of things that I like to do and things that I love to do. And one of those things that I love to do was writing. And it really was sports writing. And now my current role, I'm a news reporter. So things didn't kind of turn out how I predicted or how I wanted them to turn out. But I kept going in my pursuit of being a journalist.
Yeah, I remember you taking MCB 49, that media production and editing course. And I
Yep.
remember at first you weren't sure that whether you liked it or not. And I
hmm
remember sitting with you in one of the workstations and editing. And I think at that point you said, I'm starting to get this and I like it. So that was a good feeling, for any instructor to have. Um, and so when you graduated from Kingsborough Community College, where did you go?
Well, to start with that class that you're referring to, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I actually thought once I got my first job here at the TV station, the system they were using in that class was Avid. And the system that I used at my first TV station was Avid. And it's crazy because I didn't use Avid since I left Kingsborough and then until I got my current job. And then they recently just upgraded their system to Premiere. But that skill and that history and the experience I had using Avid equipped me to be prepared in my current role that I have now. And so when I left Kingsborough, I went to the University of Houston, in which there, before I even got there, I reached out to different departments and different athletic departments and different departments to let them know that I was coming. And I reached out to apply for things that I wanted to do. That's one thing I did at Kingsborough as well. Like you're referring to in that class, I once I started to get the editing process and realize this is something that I would have to do, I really honed in on it. And I wouldn't say I gave it my best in that moment, but I started to focus and started to realize that this is something that I can do and it's a skill that I needed. And also, while at Kingsborough, I didn't just sit and allow opportunities to come to my lap. I actually sought them out. So not only did that, I was a sports editor for a time at the school newspaper at Kingsborough, wrote an article that was published. And not only that, created I was a part of a team that created a sports show on the Kingsborough's radio station, WKRB. I don't know if they're still there or not, but we created a radio show. And then I took it even further. I realized that they had a basketball team. I'm like, hey, why can't we do a broadcast their game on the radio station? And they said it had never been done. We set it up and it was able to do it. That was the first time I actually called and did play by play of a game, and it was broadcasted on the radio station. And fast forward, when I got to the University of Houston, I sought out, like I was said, different departments. And one thing I realized when I got there was their women's basketball team didn't have they had a sports broadcaster, but it was primarily on it was on audio. They didn't have a video based broadcast. And so I went to the department like, hey, I'm a student here. I'm interested in sports broadcasting. How can we broadcast games. And so the opportunity came, but they allowed me and another student to broadcast women's basketball games on uhcougars.com, which is their website. Then fast forward again. Well, hold on. Before we fast forward, while I was doing that role, I treated it as if I was working for a major network. I dressed up just like I am now to every single game, had notes, and I was fully prepared. And one gentleman who at the time I didn't know, whom was the head of the athletic department, came in. He saw how I was dressed. He saw how well prepared I was to call the game. And he was like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you. Oh, you're the guy who calls the games on our website." He was like, "Man, you do a good job." Fast forward, when I graduate, that's why I say it's not always about who you know, it's about who knows you. And so once I graduated, I was presented an opportunity to call women's games on ESPN Plus once they got a deal. And so I went to U of H throughout my undergrad. I had opportunities like that present itself. Another thing that I did, and which I encourage students to do, is get experience while in undergrad. Whether you get an internship, whether it's we live in an age now, you have a phone. And so you have the resources and the tools to create content, to have the experience that you need. That way, when you do graduate, you be able to have a reel and you have content that you can show. Hey, this is what I did. Whether it's editing, whether it's shooting, whether it's reporting, anything that you want to do, you have the resource, and you should take the time while in undergrad to get that experience. That way, when you graduate, you have a resume and a reel to present to a company. Like, hey, this is what I've done.
Exactly. Yeah, we're really lucky at at Kingsborough Community College because we do try and give students every opportunity to get as much hands-on experience as possible. So for example, like that class you took with me was a 5-hour class. It's a long class
Mhm,
and it's tough on the students, it's tough on the
mhm.
instructors and the support staff. But at the end of the day, it's you need the time to practice with the equipment, and then you get a sense of what you like and what you don't like. And what's also great is that we do have that radio station, WKRB, which actually broadcasts terrestrially, over the air. We have it's a 5-mile radius, and we're connected to the internet, so we stream live content. And we have a strong radio club. So I think you were part of the club. You received additional
Yep,
training outside of class, which is great.
yep.
And I think it would be great just for students to see you, to hear about your
Mhm.
experiences.
For sure. And another class that stood out to me, in which, there's a many of classes. Kingsborough is a great college, and I'm very, very proud to have went to Kingsborough and learned everything I learned for college. But I mean, at Kingsborough. But I think his name was Professor Tate. He taught a TV production class that was in a TV production in a TV studio, and you learned every single role from working the teleprompter, from the sound, from what it takes to write a script, and every you literally do everything and every skill that you would need if you want to get into television, whether it's being on camera, working the camera, everything. And so that experience, as well as I learned at Kingsborough, I was able to take into my career and going forward. And see, now I'm at the TV station where I see people who don't have a college degree or maybe have a little bit of college experience and just got hired just to work the camera. But as they learned more and more, they eventually became a producer or even a reporter. And so, I mean, those skills that I learned at Kingsborough, even down to writing classes, though, I mean, you guys do a great job, like you just said, of giving students hands-on experience that you can really translate versus just sitting in class, listening to a teacher lecture. Because my first time ever being on camera is in one of your classes. I think it was in that same class, but it was a different portion of the class to where once we recorded the video, you got in front of the camera, said whatever you were going to say, then you edited it, and then I think we went out and interviewed students. And so those different experience that I had really helped form me and to realize, okay, I think I want to be more on camera. And so once I realized that and I started to focus more on that, it really just gave me a clearer vision on what it's going to take to reach the destination to where I was wanting to go.
That's great. It's great to hear, how, impactful your education was at Kingsborough and how it stayed with you through
Mhm.
your senior college experience and in the workforce. working as a reporter, which is fantastic. And if you were, I know you spoke directly to the students when you said to take advantage of the time that you have.
Yeah.
If now that as I mentioned, that we're slowly returning to normal, more in-person courses, more hands-on experiences, is there anything you can say to students to inspire them, uh, to try and maybe give more than they're giving at the moment?
I would say it's never too late. And another, never judge someone else's path or success to your own, because your journey is your journey, and really focus where your feet are. Because for me, I was older when I graduated college with my bachelor's degree. I was 30 years old. When I was at Kingsborough, was it 2012 or 2013? 2014. It's something that I was
2012.
in my 20s. 2012, I was 22 years old. And so during that time, there was often people I went to high school with who graduated before, who had already at that time was graduating from a 4-year university. But I didn't let that deter me from my vision. So that's my next thing that I would encourage is have a vision and have a plan to where you want to go. Of course, that vision and that plan is going to change, but as long as you have a vision, you can foresee your destination and what it's going to take to get to that destination. So, I mean, my advice would be make a plan, make a list of the things that you like, and that you love, and then kind of mark off. Okay, I like to do this, but I love to do this. So I'm gonna might focus a little bit what I love to do, or focus a little bit what I like to do to see if I love it. And so you have to formulate a plan. I don't think, and it's easy to say, but just thinking back in those times, I'm not gonna sit here and say I had my plan fully developed. I just had a vision of what I liked, and I kind of knew, and I was figuring out as I was going what it's gonna take to get there. And so that's what I would say. I mean, have a vision and actually embrace your journey, because of everyone's gonna have a different journey. You never know um what your journey is going to come about and what it's going to take to reach your success. And actually, um, just take advantage of all the resources that you have, especially while in school, especially while in, if you're at Kingsborough, because of, like I said, seek out different opportunities. Don't wait till opportunities just come to your lap. Go seek it out. Go speak to professors. Speak to Professor Acosta. Like, hey, what different experience do you have? I think they have a TV. You guys have a TV station. Maybe you can create a TV show. There's different numerous of opportunities that can be had. You just have to go out and seek it. Don't wait for it to come into your lap.
That's perfect. Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about your first day at this job that you currently hold? What was that like?
Well, my first day. Currently, I'm a news reporter, and just it's challenging for me because all the way up until this point, I've done sports. And so it's a different language for me, learning how to write news, learning how to report news, learning how to think as a news reporter in regards to finding and searching stories. So my first day on the job, it was more of learning how I knew how to shoot, but I didn't know how to shoot the way that they wanted and the right way that they wanted. So it was more of just soaking in all the knowledge. Another thing I would say, always be a sponge. I mean, I don't care where you are, who you're talking to. There's something that you can learn from anybody and apply it to your life, regardless of what it is. And so when I first got here, I was learning how to shoot, and then I was learning how to write in a different manner, in a different form. And so it was more of a just learning. And like I said, when I started, we had the Avid system, and I hadn't used it since 2012. And so that experience that I have, I was just playing it back in my memory, and I think we edited Star Wars movie or something like that. And so I
Mhm.
would have your voice in my head, and just different things that I experienced back then, and that I was able to bring into my career now. And so now I've been here since August of last year, and I just feel like I'm getting better and better. I'm getting more compliments, and a lot of people always compliment me on how I dress. And I was told by someone who dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And so, because you never know who's going to see you, you never know. anyone can see you, be like, I like that person. I want to hire that person, regardless of your experience, your expertise, or whatever. So I always treat everything as if it's the utmost importance.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, and we still have Avid Media Composer as our primary editing system. And the nice thing about that particular system is that it doesn't change very much.
Yeah. Yep.
Even though I think some stations are switching over to Adobe Premiere, even some a handful of like high profile movies editing on Premiere, Media
Hmm.
Composer is still the high end editing system of choice,
Yep.
like in the media industry. Yeah,
Hmm.
and those skills as you described, you can apply them to any other editing system.
Yep, you sure can. You sure can. And like I said, that just goes back into what I was my point about the times that we live in now. Like you have a cell phone in which is a camera, which is a computer, which is many different tools that you can use it for, in which you can shoot it on on your phone. Then like you have the resources at Kingsborough, like, hey, I shot something on my phone. Can I edit it? And so there's just so many different things that you can use your resources to continue to not only find yourself, but get experience and build your real to where you're trying to go.
That's perfect. Thank you. And what about the future, Leon? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
I'm on a 2-year contract now here in Joplin, Missouri, which is a relatively small market. And so in 5 to 10 years, I see myself in the top tier market, top 10 market. But I'm realistic with myself and I have to be exceptional in every aspect. And so that's one thing that I'm accepting the challenge now is one thing I struggle with in this job is speaking clearly. And as well as speaking normal on camera instead of trying to have a reporter voice. And so as I continue to develop, I definitely see myself in a top 10 market, even a top 5 market. I don't limit myself in regards to how far I can go, but it's definitely in the realm of a top 10 market. And I actually want to stay in news. As much as I love sports, sports is my passion. I love the challenge of that news is giving me in regards to writing and the different elements of it, reporting stories, finding stories. And then I just think it makes me more diverse. So I would say somewhere in the top 10 market as a news reporter slash anchor.
Okay, that's great. That's great to know. And I'm sure you'll be very successful. And just thinking back to that class you took in 2012, it was that semester that we started to have we in that class students break down into a group of 4 or 5 students. One is a
Mhm.
reporter, one is camera, lighting, and sound. And but for your class, we decided to rotate the students so
Mhm.
that every student had a chance to be on camera. Every student
Mhm.
had a chance to record narration. And I think for this semester, this is something we're coming back to now, so that students get the practice of writing narration and recording narration for a single project. So every student will be able to have the same project, except be the reporter and also narrate their story. So we're looking forward to that because we know, as you described, that it takes practice to get comfortable
Yep.
speaking in, like normally on camera,
Mhm.
especially if you're reading a teleprompter.
Yeah, especially if you're reading a teleprompter. That was one of the biggest adjustments for me because, of course, I can read, but it's the difference reading a teleprompter and people not knowing or being able to tell that you're reading. And so that's something that I'm still working with. And that's something that I practiced at Kingsborough. I had an opportunity to read from a teleprompter at Kingsborough. And so, like I said, those experience I still hold dear to my heart. I can't thank you enough, Professor Tate, and the entire Kingsborough Community College for equipping me with the skills that I have today. And I'm gonna always be a proud alumnus of Kingsborough. I can't actually wait to come back in person and speak with students, speak with you all, and just kind of catch up and let you guys know how much you guys really impacted my life.
Thank you. That means a lot to us, means a lot to me. And you're always welcome to come to Kingsborough Community College. And I think the it just always it's always so nice to speak to a student that's graduated, and just be able to see that you know they're okay and they're doing well, and they still have a long bright future ahead of them. And we're just happy that to have played a small part in you know in getting you on the right track, giving you the skills that you needed to continue to, you know, at a senior college and then to enter the workforce as you have. So thank you for your time and everything.
Yeah, well, if you have a student that after they see this interview that wants to have me as a mentor or as a resource, I mean, I give them my email. I could, I don't know if you have my phone number, it should be attached to my email. I'm more than willing and more than willing to be a mentor or just serve to, I'm an advisor or whatever role that I can play in someone's life to help them keep going or to inspire them to give them advice. My line is always open.
Thank you. That's very generous of you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, John. Have a good
Okay.
one.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.